international correspondent for the New Republic. Please welcome Walter Kern. Walter, how you doing? Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Great to be here.
Great to see you. Okay, now, first of all, you're an ex-Mormon. This is one reason why we thought it'd be very interesting to talk to you right after Mitt Romney was nominated. We thought the advertisement before the convention was that they were going to be a lot more upfront about the Mormonism. We didn't really hear about it, did we?
Not a lot, and I thought actually in his speech when he talked about people caring more about what sports team he supported than his church, I thought he actually flinched it away.
Yeah.
He buried it.
And it doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue like people thought. I feel like they glossed it over. And Mitt Romney wants that. I mean, Mitt Romney wants America to think, I'm just a different type of Christian. But Mormons aren't really Christians, are they?
Well,
That's the secret, right?
No, they've become Christians.
Really?
Mormonism is an evolving religion. You know, it started with a 14-year-old, you know, and he grew up.
14-year-old?
Joseph Smith, the guy who
Was
translated
14
the book
when he...
He was 14 when he first met God and Jesus.
Oh,
and,
well, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's so many things in Mormonism. I mean, they don't believe the Virgin Mary was a virgin. What if he told that to the delegates?
Well, I mean, that's one of the more realistic features of Mormonism, that they don't believe she was a virgin.
But to Christians, this is kind of a big thing. This is a big thing with them, that Mary did not get around before.
You know, Mormonism can't be accused of being anti-sex. I mean, they loved it so much they, you know, had more than one wife. I don't think they saw any shame in Jesus having come from an actual...
They don't. I'm just saying this probably would not play well if people knew this. I still think people, you know, I've tried to do jokes that are dependent on knowing something about Mormonism, magic underwear, stuff like that.
Right.
Never works. By the way, if Clint Eastwood tried it, nothing.
No.
People still do not know what is in Mormonism. They do not know that they think God is a 6'2" man who lives on the planet Kolob. Tell us about the planet Kolob, because I got this is one of my old Osmonds albums.
Yeah.
It's called The Plan, and there is Planet Kolob. This whole thing, it's on Kolob Records, and if you look in the middle where this is a depiction of Planet Kolob. You see, God lives on planet Kolob. Where is planet Kolob?
I'm not sure that it's been discovered by our telescopes, but you know, here's the thing about Mormonism. It was a improv religion. You know,
That's priceless. They all were, but that's well.
You know,
but, yeah.
they would call it an evolving, living religion,
right?
And that's because they make mistakes and then they correct them, and they realize in 1978 that, you know, blacks maybe should be allowed to have the priesthood, and so God allows them to do that.
But tell us how they got to that, because I think people, again, would be interested to know. You don't have to not vote for Mitt Romney because of this, but I think people should know about this idea that the head of the church is not just the head of the church like the Pope. He's a revelator. He talks to God directly, and God tells him shit.
Somebody has to keep God company, first of all. I mean, it's a lonely job being God, and I'm glad he has a Mormon prophet. But you know, here's the thing. Nixon was a Quaker. It didn't stop him from bombing Cambodia.
Right.
Probably the most religious and overtly religious president that we've had was Jimmy Carter, who really brought his Southern Baptism into the office.
True.
I don't think because Mitt Romney comes from a religion that people consider fringe, there's any danger of him assuming that we're going to agree with Mormonism and starting to sort of enact it on a large scale. I think he's going to keep it as president about as quiet as he's kept it as a candidate.
But there is something new in this idea that the people who run your church, they have, what are they, 12 apostles, right? Living apostles.
Yes.
Okay, and then they have the head of the church.
Yes.
And that's the guy who talks to God.
Yes.
I mean, you're thinking about 1978 with the blacks. He just went, this just in. We're switching it up on the blacks. They were evil, but now they're all good. We love the disco thing they're doing. I mean, that is different than any other religion. And I think people would like to know this. I think that's very different.
Well, I mean, at least they talk to God. You know, there are some evangelicals who I think ignore him completely.
Yeah.
But
Do you have mixed feelings as an ex-Mormon? I mean, I know Mormons don't like it when you leave the church.
Well, no, they don't consider you ever to have left. They think you're just having a party, and they keep knocking at your door, making sure that you're okay.
And why did you leave? Did you just one day wake up and go, this is a hysterical fraud, and I'm 10 years old, and I know it? How old were you?
I left when I was 18. They wanted me to go serve a mission. I compare it to this. There's a difference between eating McDonald's hamburgers and having to sell them. You know, yeah. I was content to take in Mormonism. I wasn't sure that I wanted to create new Mormons. But I will tell you this, and I will tell you this, in their defense, and really they deserve to be defended. Between you and the hysterical right-wing Christians, they don't have many friends. And one of the things they do very well is they get together in times of crisis, family crisis, even natural disasters. There was a flood in Idaho in the 70s, which was one of the reasons my dad converted, because he saw this on TV. He saw thousands of Mormons coming to the aid of these flood victims. It could have used a few more in Katrina, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that they're not happy, shiny, nice people. They absolutely are. I just think people need to know some of this stuff. Let me ask the panel about...
Well, what I find interesting is not so much about... The only thing that I think religion can play into in assessing a candidate is you get a certain set of values and core beliefs if someone is a true advocate of a religious group. I wish that applied to Mitt Romney. There's been, if we go back 10, 20 years, there's a completely different human being there from the positions he has now. His beliefs do not seem to be consistently in accord with any religion. So
there's something that's really to that. Mormons in their original form were practically communists. They didn't allow for...
And polygamists.
Yeah, polygamists. That's communists with sex.
Do you think that, I mean, my theory about Mitt Romney is that he is sort of what Kennedy was in the 60s. He had a father who wanted to be president, just like Kennedy. And Joe Kennedy, as we all know, wanted to be president for one reason above all, that the Catholics, he thought, really were not going to ever be accepted fully in America until they had one in the White House. And when he couldn't do it, he'd sent his son to do it. And I think Mitt Romney is the same thing. I think what motivates him above all is Mormons are not going to be accepted fully. My people are not going to arrive until we put one in the White House.
Oh, I think he's a little more selfish than that.
Me too. Me too. I was just testing you, Walter.
Well, let's bring Mormonism back into it.
Oh, good. I love
you know, I can turn. Yeah,
sir, I could hear you every night.
You know, he comes from a religion which has its own internal welfare system.
Right.
Which has a tax system. It taxes him a flat 10%. And
tithing.
Yeah, tithing. And
how do they know what 10% of what exactly? How are they?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
It's 10% of net. Okay. It's 10% of net.
The returns are on the planet Kolob.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is Mitt Romney thinks, because his religion teaches this, that the poor and the sick and the old are private business, not public business. I don't think he is any more hard-hearted than Obama. I think he just doesn't want to put that function in government's hands, and
But that's not really realistic in the 21st century in a country of 300...
Mormonism isn't realistic in the 21st century. I mean...
All right, let me...